We're going to talk a little bit about things that are politically trending here in Kahnawake. Of course, there's always something going on in terms of politics. The cigarette industry is going through a change right now in terms of the tobacco law and the CDMP and things like that. We're going to be having an interview with them and Peggy Mayo coming up in the next few weeks, so we'll keep you posted. But some of the things that you had mentioned earlier about Parleen Marois and a big vote coming up in April in terms of keeping her in office or not. Big push for First Nations communities to vote in this upcoming election.
It hasn't been the first time.
What is some of the reaction that you've been getting?
Well, the reaction certainly has been of the negative in terms of having Kahnawake vote and also having Parleen Marois in office. What can you say? I mean,
we're not happy. We're not happy with her either. You know, it seems like there's a lot of Quebecers who are not happy, but I think it's their responsibility to go out and vote and get their families out and vote. There's some people who talked about this on the social networks this week too and said, you know, should we vote? There was this debate going on. I don't know if you had seen it, but I seen in my newsfeed that there was a debate going on between people saying that, you know, it's good to think about it. But I think that the position here in Kahnawake, politically, you know, out of the Longhouse, the people, the Moa Council, whichever fraction you're in, is, you know, to always go back to the two-row wampum. Is that you're in your canoe, we're in ours, and we don't, you know, involve ourselves in each other's politics.
Right.
I think we tend to keep our end of the deal on this one. They're always involved in our politics, you know.
You will. I mean, you're going to get an odd few that's going to vote here and there, but you know, the scare tactics that are being pushed out there from a lot of people in social media right now. I mean, it is a scary thing. I mean, if you look at it, but I mean, you can't run off fear. You can't be scared all the time, especially with the things that are already in place. I mean, especially with the seniority. I mean, there's a lot of things right then and there that dictate that we have nothing to worry about. The thing is that we do know that Parleen Marois and certainly a lot of members of the Parti Québécois do not respect Native treaties and do not respect First Nations peoples as a whole in the province of Quebec.
Well, there's this whole, you know, issue that keeps resurfacing regarding separation and, you know, Quebec becoming its own sovereign nation and things like that. And we're also going to have an interview with Grand Chief Mike Delisle to get some comment on that, you know, in terms of the feeling on this issue. Okay, so Mike, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about the upcoming election on April 7th. Now, there's been some talk out in the community regarding people discussing the possibility of voting, and some community members who have definitely come out and said that it's their right to vote. And what is your feeling on all of this?
Well, I believe it is their right. I don't agree. I've never voted, and I don't think I ever will, provincially or federally, outside of Kahnawake. We're not going to stand in anyone's way, but I don't think it's something that's within our, I'll say, social and political makeup to become involved in outside politics. I mean, as the Moa Council of Kahnawake is a political body, we deal with provincial and federal governments, but to vote in an election is a different issue. Like I said, I'm not supportive, but I respect people's individual right to do so. I was first advised through our local MNA, member of National Assembly, Pierre Moreau in Chateauguay, who said he was approached by a group of Kahnawake who wanted to vote, and I guess wanted to hear his platform and know why, if they're going to vote, why they should vote for him. So it's interesting, and I'll be honest, I don't think even if the majority of people from Kahnawake, age of majority, who were able to vote and did register or whatever the process is, would really make a difference, because this isn't a national election. Quebec may differ because of their aspirations, but you're voting in a region, you're voting for a member of National Assembly, as it's called. So I don't know if it would have an effect specific to Kahnawake. It could have an effect if all First Nations in Quebec may get together and say, this is how we should vote. And it's hard to say, but everyone has an individual right.
It's unfortunate that people are thinking about voting. Kahnawake has a strong tradition not getting involved in provincial politics, and there's a lot of historical reasons for that, and I think that people have to really be very clear thinking about this, and this is a provincial election. This is not a referendum on separation, so people have to be very clear about that. This is not it's not a vote about. This is not a referendum. The issue is not the separation of Quebec. If that ever comes about, we'll deal with that when that time comes. When people start talking about getting involved in the Quebec elections, you have to understand that what you're doing, and you're choosing your political leadership in their system. It's very much like the elections here in Kahnawake, where people vote. They vote for Mike Delisle, and it's because they want him to be Grand Chief. And in the outside elections, you're going to vote for some liberal guy, and then he will be your political connection to Quebec, and that's what the danger is. The danger is that you're getting involved in their political system, their party system, and that really undermines that nation-to-nation relationship that Mohawks have with Quebec and with Canada. I think that I understand that people are concerned and upset, but people should not make emotional decisions on this, and I'm concerned that people are acting emotionally and are going to make an emotional decision to decide to vote and give up our nationalistic stance that we've had for generations.
And do you think it's important that people be reminded of the two-row and where the ideology comes from not voting in outside elections?
If we have to explain the two-row all over and over again, and I don't know if people really live in Kahnawake if they don't understand what the two-row wampum means, the symbolism. It's so clear. I think our elders who invented this concept centuries ago. It's the wisdom. It's such an important document. This whole idea that in a wampum you could articulate the two boats in the river of life. One with a ship of sails representing the Europeans, and our canoe with our people. And our laws and our spirituality, going down the river of life, not interfering with each other. That is a philosophy that can be applied anywhere in the world, and I think is underrated in the outside world, and you could apply it anywhere and it would work. The only thing is that sometimes our own people lose faith in our own beliefs and in our own philosophy, and tend to go into other people's accepting European ideas and philosophies as more important than our own. There's nowhere else. There's nobody else that can live by our beliefs than ourselves. We have to believe in those things, and it's unfortunate to hear people losing faith in ideas like the two-row, because they're important. That nation-to-nation, government-to-government relationship is a fundamental is that fundamental relationship we have with all the settler states that we have here, and we should stick to that. And it takes discipline, and I think people are losing that discipline when they start considering voting in the settler states system. One of the most powerful things that Mohawks have, we're a real pain in the butt to Quebec and a pain in the butt to Canada, and that we're that way because of our nationalism, because we are different and we behave differently and we act differently, and that's why Kahnawake is the way it is. That's why you have cigarette stores, you have all kinds of stuff, poker houses, you have we have this resistance to outside influences and laws. I mean, I can't say we are influenced by the outside, but we do it our way, and not theirs, and that's why we can do the things we do, because we are separate. We believe we're separate. We believe we're sovereign, and so by staying out of their elected system is very symbolic of that separation, that difference, that we are different from Quebecers and we are different from Canadians.
We're just going to wrap this up now. A few things to keep on the lookout is KOR. There was a discussion at the Mohawk Council in terms of a new building, a possibility of a new building. It's in the developmental stages as far as I know. We're going to keep you updated on that, but I think that's a long time coming, and of course Mohawk Council says that they're supportive, but the community is supportive, and I think if anyone deserves a new building, it's got to be KOR. They haven't had one, and it is such a big reflection of who we are in Kahnawake, our language, our culture, the programs, everything.
Right.
It's time for a new building.
Absolutely. Yeah. To house certainly a wonderful staff and a wonderful program that happens over at KOR. They're really doing good.
All right. So with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go away. Yeah.